Right, a very good morning, Malabites and Malabresses, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellows, mummies and daddies. You are tuned into Unical 103.5 FM, the only station that offers you the very best of education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. We love to call it Edu Infotainment. Time check is 18 minutes past hour of 11, and at this time, we have something very, very super special for you this morning. Yes, it's no news that the University of Calabar celebrated its 50th anniversary last month. And believe you me, it was nothing short of sheer spectacle. Having to, have amazing people come from far and wide to celebrate with the University of Calabar. Right here on Unical 103.5 FM, we have a very special program dedicated to celebrating the University of Calabar at 50. And on this program, we sample amazing personalities from the University of Calabar, people that have walked this path before us. Today is not an exception as we have an amazing personality. I feel like she is literally the most special personality we've ever had right here on the Unical at 50 special edition. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet. I'm going to go on a very short break. When I come back, I'm going to introduce who we have in the studio with us this morning. My name is Vine Henshaw. They call me Spice of the Airwaves. Stay locked. Alright, welcome back from that short break. Time check is 21 minutes past the hour of 11, and we're still live here at Unical 103.5 FM, where we bring you the best of education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. We love to call it Edu Infotainment. Like I said before the break, we are having a very special Unical at 50 program right here at Unical 103.5 FM, where we sample amazing personalities from across Unical. Today we have somebody very special, very, very special. She is, popularly known as the 001 of the University of Calabar. Her name is Professor Eno Macaulay Ukpong, the first student ever admitted to the University of Calabar into the then Department of Education in the Faculty of Art. Professor Ukpong's pioneering spirit and academic brilliance and leadership have paved the way for generations of scholars who have followed her footsteps. Professor Ukpong is a distinguished academic in the field of educational psychology, currently serving as a professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at the University of Calabar. She holds a PhD in educational psychology from the University of Waikato, New Zealand in 1989, an MED in guidance and counseling from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria in 1982, and a BSc education in educational science from the University of Calabar in 1980. Throughout her career, Professor Ukpong has made significant contributions to the field of educational psychology and childhood education. Her notable publications include The Psychology of Adult Learning in 2000, Stop Forgetting, Train Your Mind in 2000 as well, The Psychology of Human Development and Learning in 2020. These works has been influential in their respective fields as evidence of numerous citations in academic lecture. In 2018, she was awarded as Ambassador of Peace in Unical. In March 2025, Professor Ukpong was honored with a Distinguished Service Award by Unical's Vice Chancellor, Professor Florence Banku Obi, in recognition of her trailblazing role and remarkable contributions to the university. Professor Ukpong's outstanding career in educational psychology and environmental education, combined with her active involvement in various professional and social initiatives, speaks volume about her lasting impact on this institution and beyond. a highly esteemed Professor Ukpong. It is a true privilege to have you join us today on Unical 103.5 FM, the only station that offers you the very best of education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Professor Ukpong on the show. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning, Mr. Baka.
It's such an honor to meet the very first student to be admitted right here in the prestigious University of Calabar. How do you feel today?
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Amazing. And let me just take you, far back to when you were admitted in the University of Calabar. What was the feeling like, being the very first person to be admitted into, the then not so prestigious University of Calabar?
Well, it was good. The main thing was that we needed university education.
That was the
So
important
when
thing.
we came in, we didn't look at the environment. We just looked at. I personally looked for what I was coming for, the books.
Absolutely.
So the environment didn't really disturb me, and I was excited that
You were
I had
excited?
that I had the opportunity
Okay.
to come into the university. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much once again for joining us. So, Professor Ukpong, let's just move, straight into it. You were the first student admitted to the University of Calabar. Could you share with us, what it was like being the very first cohort right here in the University of Calabar? What was it like, being one of the few people that had the privilege to be admitted into the University of Calabar?
Thank you so much. Yes, my memory goes back. When we came in, the first set of students, that was 1976. Some students, undergraduates, had been here,
Okay.
but they were from University of Nigeria, Nsukka,
Nsukka, okay.
because then it was University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Calabar campus.
Okay.
The bona fide students of University of Calabar came in 1986.
Okay.
And it was good. We had people on ground, those other people from UNM. They were on ground to show us the way, integrate us into the system.
Okay.
As a person, talking about it as a person, I would say I didn't look at my left or right. I was always looking at the books that brought me.
Okay.
And being quite different, I would say different in the management and organization, different from secondary school where I came from.
Absolutely.
Yes, it was good, exciting, and but I had to focus on my studies from the beginning.
That's a priority.
We didn't have too many things distracting us then, all these high things now. We used to talk about a triangular movement on campus.
Okay.
That is, you move from your hostel to the classroom, and you move from the classroom to the dining room, and then move from the dining room to your hostel.
Back to your hostel.
So we used to call it triangular movement. It was just this main campus
Okay.
that we had then. And so we didn't run around too much. And where I'm sitting here for you to interview me was my hostel.
Oh, okay.
It was my hostel. All
Okay.
these was were rooms where we are.
So I'm sure that brings back memories.
Exactly. This was a hostel for the girls.
Okay.
We were all here.
Okay. Amazing. You've spoken about, the interesting experience of being the first cohort right here at the University of Calabar. Now, when something is pioneered, right, when something is, launching out for the first time, it always has challenges. So
Yeah.
did you face any kind of challenges, when you were here in the University of Calabar?
Talking as a person, the main challenge that I had was how to cope with university studies.
Okay.
I found it quite demanding.
Okay.
It wasn't like my secondary school when they will ring the bell It's time for prep, go and read. Ring the bell, time to go for food, dining room, go there. But here, you just had to plan your life.
By yourself.
Nobody waits for you. No prefect to pursue you. You just have to make up your mind on what you want. So the challenge was that of having to discipline myself to ensure that only the needful were done.
Okay.
And especially when it came to studying, reading my books, I really had to discipline myself in that aspect. Another way, though we were all new, some were more mature, some were more exposed. So I had the challenge of choosing my friends.
Okay.
Because my purpose was to get what I wanted. I needed to choose good friends.
Absolutely.
So I settled down to look for Christian friends. I came in as a Christian, so I joined the Christian Union on campus. There I got some good friends, and we worked together till we attained. One more thing. When I came in, I didn't understand what they call GPA. And the CGPA.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand what I needed to do to make a first class or third class or second class upper. I did not. But because I had made up my mind to study, I ended up getting good grades. By the time I came to my third year, I now understood if I get this, I'll get first class and so on. And then also began to learn the appropriate study habits in the university that could help me get what I wanted.
Amazing. That's quite an experience. But I'm so curious to ask you this, right? Out of all the universities back then, right, why did you choose to study? Where was it, pertinent that you study right here in the University of Calabar?
Yeah, you really want to know my background. You really want to know my background. I was in what they call Cross River State University of Technology.
We have technology.
It was called Polytechnic then. And I was there for my A papers. I wanted to get my papers with A papers before hunting for university education. I was in pure science then.
Interesting.
So it was a 2-year program. I completed my first year. But that time I was doing that, my elder brother is late now. And Mr. Namso Akang was one of the UNN students here in University of Calabar. So immediately they formed. We didn't have JAM at that time. You only wrote your thing and immediately the form came out. He got one for me. I completed and just came in here. I didn't look at any other place. I just completed the form for Unical and came in here.
Amazing.
So it's not that I choose, I had to compare and choose. Yes.
Amazing. Now let's talk about your personal journey, right? You have achieved so much, right? You have had a remarkable academic and professional journey, transitioning from student to a professor. I mean, I feel like that's literally one of the greatest honor of being a student in a university and coming back to be a professor in that same university. Can you tell us how this journey has been so far?
Thank you so much. As I mentioned, you had asked me why it was University of Calabar that I came into. And I said that I was studying at the Polytechnic, Calabar, for my A papers. That then I was in pure science. And that was 75. I had an elder brother, Mr. Akang, who was Namso Akang, late now, who was here in Unical as a UNN student. So immediately the form they advertised for admission. My brother got the form and asked me to come over. I took the form, completed it. So it wasn't a matter of shopping for a university. I just did that. And then, as God would have it, I had admission here.
Okay.
And the journey started in Unical. We came in, completed the year, the program, first degree program, and off we went for NYAC.
Okay.
I was posted to Oyo State,
Okay.
and I served in Government College Akpata,
Okay.
where I was a biology teacher.
Okay.
It was then, I never knew the University of Calabar, in her wisdom, had selected a few students whom they thought were good enough to train and bring back to the system. So I got my letter that I was given a scholarship by the university.
Amazing.
So with that scholarship, I just walked across Polytechnic. Akpata is not very far from where the university is in Ibadan. So I just walked across or took a bus to the, collected a form, completed, and had admission. I was given admission to read for my MED in guidance and counseling. That was a 1-year program. I completed that after my NYAC. And came back to cut the long story short, I came back to the university in 1982. November, I started lecturing as an assistant lecturer in the University of Calabar. So I worked in the University of Calabar, being assisted by or mentored by those who had been here. I started lecturing, and in 1985, I came across a friend who just was holding a paper in her hand. And I was curious enough. I asked the person, "What is that in your hand?" He said it was Commonwealth Scholarship. So I asked, "Where did you get the form from?" She told me the registry. By that time, the registry was at the small gate. So I walked over, collected, completed the form, attended the Commonwealth interview, and as God would have it, I got the scholarship.
Amazing.
That is what took me to New Zealand to study for my PhD. I completed my PhD in 1989 and returned to University of Calabar.
Amazing.
And then I came back and understand what they were calling publish or perish. Publish or perish. So I started working, thinking that I had already missed some years. I better sit up. I was just praying for God to help me. So study, write, publish, community developments, all just make yourself available. By that time, I was working seriously with Cross River State. Would go here, serve as their consultant here, go here, present some papers and so on. And then I climbed up gradually until I reached the apex of my profession as a professor. That is the short story about me.
Amazing. So how does that make you feel, coming back to the university that, you studied in and being a professor in that university? What's the feeling like?
I am fulfilled. When we were given Commonwealth Scholarship and others went out, so many of us never came back. So many never came back. But it was a time I started thinking about what being the first registered student in the university means. And so I thought I must be patriotic. At least let me go and pay back to my university. That's what kept me. It's not that I wouldn't have, what do you call it? Jackpot.
Jackpot, yes.
Not that I wouldn't have.
But you decided to stay back and give back.
Yes, the university had given to me. So I saw it I had to give it back to the university
Amazing,
in a
amazing.
good
I
way.
mean, your kind is very rare. Just like you said, a lot of people would have preferred to jack back, but you decided to stay back and give back to the
Yeah,
university.
yeah.
Now, speaking of the university, we've watched the University of Calabar grow. We've watched, the structure, infrastructure in the University of Calabar, the introduction of new programs to the University of Calabar. How have you seen the evolution of the University of Calabar in terms of infrastructure, in terms of academic research and development?
Beyond what we ever imagined.
Okay.
That's a summary of it. Beyond what we ever imagined. I had said it before, that at that time it was only main campus. The structures were like secondary schools,
Okay.
the buildings. And that's why we had that triangular movement.
Yes.
Good. But now, I had been from the time of Professor Yandele, that
Okay.
was the first vice chancellor, till this current time with Professor Florence Subi, and going through the expansion of the university campus to Malabo site came up when we were in year 2.
Okay.
And that time it was only the men who occupied that site. The dining room was moved. The dining room, which was where they publish books now, was moved to Malabo. And we used to walk through the burial ground.
Okay.
You may not know that.
I don't.
You see this place, they have fence around Goldie side.
Okay.
There was a shortcut you pass through where people play ball now and so on.
Okay. Yes.
We used to walk through there to eat and come back until the university gave us a bus that would convey people from here to that side. Only a few halls were in Malabo for the boys. But the girls were here, hall 1, hall 2, before they gave it to medical students. Girls were there and the boys were in the bungalows. As I'm telling you this, I don't want to travel alone. I want you to travel along with me and see. So we moved to that Malabo. Buildings were there. After a while, some halls came up for the ladies. And then the day that I went down, one day I went down of recent.
Okay.
I passed Malabo. Somebody had to show me the way to where the university has expanded to. I saw places for girls, places for boys, beyond what we ever imagined.
Yes.
So the expansion, it's quite impressive. I don't know the word I can use to. The positive development in the university. And still talking about the infrastructures, when I gave my valedictory, I had retired last year.
Yes.
I was talking about the present vice chancellor. The present vice chancellor, I described her as a woman who had to see uncompleted projects.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you can see all the buildings that were left uncompleted. It's as though you rarely see buildings that are not completed now. So now that is for the hostels. We come to the library.
Okay.
When we started where they call the Department of Educational Management was the library. Just a room where the HOD occupies now.
Okay.
And then later, when the dining moved from this printing press side, where you have the pharmacy, when they moved to Malabo, that place became the library. And as a matter of fact, it's that hall that we had our first matriculation.
Interesting.
The dining room then was then later library. We had our first matriculation there. Before the gigantic library came up.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a new library because it has stayed for years.
Yeah, it's really old.
Came up.
Yes.
And now you can see we are not just talking about just go to the library and look at the books. We have the one you can just go browse and see what's in the e-library.
Yes.
Not just one central one. Some departments have, some faculty.
Absolutely.
So you look at that. And then the number of staff. The number, now when I see some people and they greet me, say, please, if I see you at some other time or some other way and I don't remember your name, don't be offended, just tell me your name. Because the explosion is so much, even among the staff, not to talk of the students. So the development, what about the administrative blocks? Remember the term, the vice chancellor. The vice chancellor, you may not even know some of these structures I'm talking about.
I agree. I
You may not even know some of them. The vice chancellor, the registrar were staying across the road. And later they came inside. But that first building near the small gate, that's where all of them were.
Wow.
Yes, that's where they stayed. All of them had their offices. And now you can see where we have here administrative block.
Yes.
So the explosion, the expansion, what about academics? You have people performing wonderfully in publications, conference attendance, and so on. And the University of Calabar hosting so many programs now, courtesy of a very active vice chancellor. So the development is quite impressive, very significant, and I don't think I can even talk about everything.
Absolutely. I mean, we may not have the time to talk about all the development right here in the University of Calabar. Now, you've spoken about the Vice Chancellor, Professor Florence Banko Obi, who happened to be the very first female Vice Chancellor.
Yes.
When the name Florence Banko Obi comes up, you can tell that it has a way of sounding women inclusivity in power. Now, I want to ask you, how do you assess the role of women in this new administration at the University of Calabar? Because you have somebody that has pioneered as the first female vice chancellor. Before now, it used to be just men, but now we have the first female vice chancellor at the University of Calabar. So, how do you assess the role of women in administrative positions right here at the University of Calabar?
I have always believed in women. And without being biased at all, the vice chancellor, it's not because I'm a woman. The vice chancellor, I think, I don't know, how would I put this? She has tried. She has done well. Well may not be good enough. She has performed excellently.
Okay.
And I'm a woman, so that nobody will think I am biased. Anybody who thinks I'm biased should come and just assess, look at the difference. I have served as chairman committee of deans at a time, and I was in a capacity to see what is happening in the different departments and faculties and now the university, part of management I was. And I can compare the past with today. And Professor Florence Obi, without being biased, has done marvelously.
Amazing.
Is it in terms of giving women position?
That's our main focus.
Yes, giving women position is just before they changed the last DVC academic, you can see we had almost all of them women sitting there. And even what about those who are coming into to start up work with the university? They are being encouraged. What about sending those people to school to improve on themselves? Professor Flores is doing a lot, appointing people, women in positions of authority, and also bringing in bodies to train women inside. No, there was a time that we were worried about the girls.
Okay.
The girls, what should be done. And by the time to make them morally, at least, be what we should have as mothers. And I tried to interact with the girls. It was then I knew that sometimes the university will even send some cooperatives or some other bodies to educate our girls on how to live, to be ambitious, how to
become a leader.
Yes, become leaders in the future. When I was giving my valedictory and was mentioning them, it's the first time that the government's student government president is a lady.
Yes.
A lady. And I think all those came up because of the encouragement the VC had given to them. So I'm very proud of her. And the VC was my student at the time. So I'm
this is very fascinating.
Very proud of her. She's doing very well.
Amazing. Yes. this is a lecturer-student movement. I love it. Anyway, moving forward, right? Let's talk about let's reflect on your award. In March 2025, you received the Distinguished Service Award for your contributions to the university. How did it make you feel when you received that award, that recognition? How did you feel?
I was fulfilled. I felt fulfilled. I was happy.
Okay.
When they asked me to give a response on behalf of the other awardees.
Okay.
I started by sing the song that says, "Only be remembered by what we have done."
Okay.
There is a song like that. They sing it when somebody is to be buried. Say, "Only be remembered by what we have done." I have been in the university for 40-something years now.
Wow. That's a very long time.
And lecturers, professors come and go. They just disappear like that. You look for her, he had gone. No record, no nothing. But you know, this lady, I was thanking her that God gave her the wisdom to tell people, well done. So when I got my own, I felt at least the many years, all my life as a young person and old woman I spent in the university is recorded somewhere. At least somebody has told me, well done.
Well done.
So I was very satisfied and happy.
Amazing. So recently in March as well, we celebrated the University of Calabar at 50 years. 50 years of making legends, 50 years of, setting the pace. Now, what are your thoughts about the celebration of the University of Calabar at 50?
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
I never saw a thing like that in the university. It was worth it. And I think it was very thoughtful. The Vice Chancellor is just a very smart, very thoughtful of her. It brought the people together. We were able to see events of several years ago. And, she has a hall of fame there to put down the names of some people who have done something here. It was good. And one day after, I'm a Sunday school teacher in Unical Chapel of Redemption. One day after a review, one student came and ran and said, Mommy, I have seen your name there. And I said, where did you? He said, that hall, that building. And I drove around. I didn't know that they have named a building after me.
Wow.
As a first registered student of the university.
Lucky.
And this, where we are now, you can see late Professor Eme.
Yes.
Eme is named after. What's this? I don't know. Well, I think it's God who is giving her the wisdom.
Absolutely.
It was very fulfilling to most of us, if not everybody.
Okay.
So, and it gave us time to look at the achievements thus far and the way forward.
Amazing, amazing. Still talking about Unical at 50, how important do you believe this celebration is for both current students and future students?
I have had students and future students. Who did you mention before?
Both of them. Okay, current students first, then future students.
Okay. Okay. For those who are thoughtful enough, for those who are thoughtful enough, they will know that what they do with their lives matter.
Absolutely.
And they would aim at contributing to be sure by the time 50 years, long time, by the time something comes up again, at least they cannot stay in the university and just go away like that. They should leave their own footprints in the sun of the university.
Legacy, yes.
They should do something to say, oh, I was here at one time. And we have to build together, contribute.
Okay.
This is where I am. What do I leave behind for?
Absolutely.
Because after another 50, if Jesus tarries,
Yeah.
there will still be another 50
50,
years.
yeah.
So what do you do? If you enjoyed what you see, if you are benefiting from what others did in the university, what are you going to do so that the future students or people can also enjoy? But I think it should be encouraging to them, it should be motivating to the students, and maybe helping those who are coming in future to also learn.
Amazing, amazing. You spoke about the next 50 years and another 50 years. So before we go to the other 50 years, let's talk about the next 50 years. Where do you see the University of Calabar in the next 50 years to come, if Jesus tarries, just like you said?
Yes, if Jesus tarries, one, if we have good administrators,
Okay.
yes, if we have good administrators who are more interested in the welfare of the people, the development of academies, and the university as a whole.
Okay.
So, well, let me not go forward. Let me just say, so it's a concern sometimes when we look at the new people, the new generation.
Okay.
Does that include anybody here? I'm talking about in academies now.
Yes.
When we see the behavior, in our time it wasn't the culture of give me money
Okay.
and I give you this, exchange this for that. It was what you deserve. So if the university is able to have good administration and good administrators,
Okay.
and the university looks at the admission policies again and we follow,
Okay.
you admit those who are qualified. And the university looks at the staff brought in. We used to go through rigorous interview. I didn't tell you that even with my first degree, I sat down there facing a Yandele and Ufot and all the big people. My dean was there to answer questions satisfactorily. So if we bring in lecturers who are fit to be university lecturers, and we admit students who are not buying grades to come in, the qualified one, and we have good administrators who are not interested in what to take for themselves, but how to improve on the system, then we will go higher. We will do better. It will be an enviable place in future because the foundation has been laid.
Amazing, amazing. Time check is 5 minutes past the hour of 12 and it's Unical 103.5 FM, the only station that offers you the best of education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. We love to call it Edu Infotainment. It is a special series celebrating University of Calabar at 50, and we had the 001 of the University of Calabar, the first registered student right here in the prestigious University of Calabar, no other person than Professor Eno Macaulay Ukpong. We're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the conversation right here with Go 103.5 FM. Stay locked. 12:07 on the DOT. Welcome back from that short break. If you're just joining us, it's Unical 103.5 FM, the best station that offers you education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. We love to call it Edu Entertainment. And we have a special, session right here in the studio. We're discussing with the first registered candidate or student rather in the University of Calabar, no other person than Professor Eno Ukpong, and we've been talking about her journey through being a student of the University of Calabar to becoming a lecturer in the University of Calabar. Now let's talk about the future, because we've spoken about 50 years to come. Now let's talk about the future now. As global education continues to evolve, how can Unical strategically position itself to meet the demands of the 21st century?
As I said before, the leaders we have, that's very important.
Okay.
Because the leaders, management, will provide the facilities needed, will sponsor people to attend conferences so that we can see what is happening outside and do the same, follow them and move on with what is happening in the system globally. Many things are coming up, the technology aspects of education. Many things are coming up. There was a time I wrote a paper on when students become teachers of their teachers, what will happen? All young people, you can use this phone to do anything. You can, and some of us may not be able to navigate our ways with this technology the way you do. So University of Calabar will go higher if we try to also educate the lecturers on technology, the use of these technological facilities we have. It will assist the university. At the same time, while we say globally, technology, go do this, I'm not familiar with the AI. But I am very careful with it. I think everybody should be very, very careful. And so even the staff should have a little knowledge of what AI does, how it's helping, so that we can be able to identify students' work that are products of AI on their own, and guide them as it should be. So I am thinking that if the university gets the facilities needed for the present century, and also train the workers, the lecturers in particular, and get the students stay within the acceptable, then we will be there with others.
Amazing. Okay, so as we wrap up this segment, I would love to ask, because you are somebody who a lot of students look up to, because you are the first registered student right here in the University of Calabar. Now, you have seen and experienced firsthand the growth and evolution of the University of Calabar. What advice would you give to, current and prospective students right here in the University of Calabar? How can they take full, advantage of all the resources that, are present in the University of Calabar?
Students come in with a mind to read. Come in with a mind to study, not a mind to sort. Come in with a mind to be a transformed person for the better before you go out. So take your studies seriously. No lecturer will mess around with you if you take your studies seriously.
Okay.
In this university, there is provision for student assessment, reassessment. If a student complains that, oh, the score I was given is not what I expected to do better than that.
Okay.
All you need to do is to be bold enough, write to the appropriate quarters.
Okay.
And it will be handled. Your papers will be remarked and justice will be done. So don't give in because people will say, that one, if you don't sort, you won't pass. No, but students, when you come into the University of Calabar, know that this is a serious institution.
Absolutely.
And we don't toy with our name. Anytime University of Calabar is mentioned, people listen, people look up, and that is what we want to maintain. When you come in, sit down, face your studies, pass well, make us proud of you when you go out there. That is the little advice I can give to students.
Amazing, amazing. So lastly, still speaking about advice. Now, what words of advice would you give to our young listeners? Because you have walked this path way before them. So the young people listening to us right now, what would you tell them that they should do in order to carry on the legacy of the University of Calabar? Because it's no news that University of Calabar is a very prestigious university. People look up to this university, just like you said. When they mention University of Calabar, people are paying attention. So how can the younger generation carry on that legacy?
Well, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but let me say, the University of Calabar has rules and regulations. When I was giving my valedictory last year, I said that Unical Radio,
Okay.
I didn't even know you were here. Unical Radio, you should frequently let students know about the rules and regulations,
Okay.
the do's and the don'ts.
Okay.
When you open up in the morning and you greet us, say, remember, you read some of these things.
Okay.
So the students who are coming, they should know that it's not a do as you like place.
Okay.
There are don'ts and there are rules. They should take the orientation given to them when they come in seriously. Because we always give students orientation when they arrive.
Yes.
They should take seriously. During my own orientation in 1976, I was told that the university is a free community.
Okay.
You have freedom, but that freedom is with strings attached. That your freedom should not encroach on the freedom of another. So students, when you come in, young students, know the rules. Keep to the rules. Know what you came for. It's not the time to come and join cults. It's not the time to come and stand by the roadside in the night because your parents are not here. Just know what you came for. Focus on that. And if you are thoughtful enough to know God and fear God and live within the confines of the Word of God, then surely nothing is going to stop you. The Vice Chancellor we have today is a lady. If you're a young student out there, you're a lady, you can be the Vice Chancellor of tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It depends on what you want for yourself. You're a young man, you are just coming in. You can develop your vision. It can be short-term, long-term. You can be the Vice Chancellor tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So work in a way, behave in a way to ensure that if you become the Vice Chancellor of the university tomorrow, you would have laid a foundation and the work will be easy for you. And you will continue to promote the name of the university. Sorry, you see, as I'm sitting now, I somehow am finished. But anyway, University of Calabar is mentioned, I am always alert. What are they going to say about it and so on? So come in, protect your name, protect the name of the institution, and you will make it.
Amazing, amazing. It has been nothing short of amazing discussing with you, Professor Eno Macaulay Ukpong. Right, we've been talking about a lot of things from your journey as a student, the first registered student right here in the prestigious University of Calabar, down to your journey as a lecturer who is now retired in the University of Calabar. And it must be a very, very fulfilling moment for you to, lecture in the same university that you were trained in. We've spoken about University of Calabar in the next 50 years, and how the younger generation can also keep the legacy of the University of Calabar, because one thing is for sure, we're going higher and higher. There's no bringing us down. We're going higher and higher. Anyway, this is the much you can take on this hour right here on Unical 103.5 FM, the only station that offers you the best of education, information, and of course entertainment 360. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Ma, for being such an inspiring figure to look at, because I know that a lot of Malabites and Malabases look up to you and say, oof, this is a very inspiring woman to look up to. Your story is very inspiring. Your story, has perseverance, has passion, has resilience, and those are qualities of a role model. Those are qualities of somebody who you would want to emulate. So I'm super grateful. This is a real opportunity for me to sit down and discuss with you. Anyway, time check is 18 minutes past the hour of 12, and at this time we're saying goodbye. Keep listening to Unical 103.5 FM. You can follow us on Facebook, we're Unical Radio International. On Instagram, we're Unical Rain 1. On TikTok, we're Unical Rain 1 as well. My name is Ryan Henshaw. They call me Spice of the Airwaves. And that's all we can take this hour. Stay locked, and don't forget, Malabites and Malabases are known for reasonable action. Do have a very good afternoon.
Thank you.